Hello. This is kind of a bonus RPG stories episode, as I've got a bit more time. I'm going to talk about a one-off I did quite some time ago now. It was based on a longer campaign that I was running at the time, which is a kind of stereotypical fantasy universe that I created. So what I'll do is I will change the names of certain races and things to make it a bit easier, because I've made my own races for this universe. So the one-off, the idea was that it's a very stereotypical fantasy universe, okay? In the north, you have the Kingdom of the High Elves. In my universe, very based off Japanese culture as well. So samurai elves, basically, which, if you're even half a nerd, that should make you jizz. In the south, you have the humans, who are very... I based the humans in my universe off Middle Eastern culture, specifically around the time of the Ottoman Empire at their height. But also mixed in with a bit of European in there too. So you have people with massive sabers and things like that, but they're in like plate armor that's been designed to cope with heat and stuff like that. So it's very, out there, but fun. There's also a third faction, which is the mages, basically, have recently been freed from servitude and bondage. So they're kind of the new guys on the block as a country. So with the one-off, basically, very recently, the Empress of the High Elves has been assassinated. Now, it's been made to look like it was done by the humans. It wasn't, but that's more to do with my overarching plot, which I'm not going to go into right now. So, war's about to break out, and war hasn't happened for 100 years. It's been a time of relative peace. So, this is not a good situation. No one wants a war at this point, apart from the secret shadowy organisation who actually did the assassination. Because, of course, it's a secret shadowy organisation. So the idea of this one-off was the ambassadors, or the diplomats of the two nations meeting together to talk it out and attempt to come to some arrangement to avoid war. This is their last chance to avoid war. And they also have a third party in there, which is the representative of the mages, who's acting as an intermediary, basically. Now, the way I run this one off, I run it more like a free-form LARP than an actual tabletop roleplay. So there's no dice rolling in this. I got a table, set it out. On the one side of the table, I put the one character, so that's where Hannah sat, and she was representing the humans. And on the other side of the table, I sat the other player, who was representing the High Elves. And then in between, I put the representative of the mages, who was the intermediary. Now, each of them, this wasn't just like, go for it. Each of them had a list in front of them of exactly what their governments were willing to accept and give up, what they want and demand for there to be peace, and sort of things in between as well, things that are a bit more free to play with. Those goals, a lot of them directly conflicted with the goals of the other party. Now, the mage intermediary as well had her own goals too. So, the idea is that the two main parties would be trying to sort this out to stop a war, while the third, who is the intermediary, is actually trying to, let's say, curve their opinions of what they should do to best fit the goals of the mage's new country, basically. Playing political games to try and get a bit more for them. It was a very interesting game, because with that sort of game, you need people to take it seriously. You need people who are going to get into character and play it out properly. Because it doesn't work otherwise. You need people who are going to take it seriously. Now, the idea is that both sides, no one wants war. No one. These countries are so big, with such large armies, it would be devastating for everyone. So no one wants war, no one thinks war will happen. It's more of a game of getting the most out of the other party that you can, So, this kind of conversation, this diplomatic talk, actually ended up lasting 4 hours. It was very heated. I actually played the advisors for each side. So, for every single player, I was their advisor. So the idea was I would be stirring shit up as the game went on. Like, I would go to the human representative and say, sir, we've gotten reports of the High Elves armies moving quite close to our borders. And then obviously she would then change what she was doing, her tactic, off of that information. Then I would go to the High Elves one and say like, Sir, one of our generals has decided to move their armies closer to the border. He's quite adamant about, taking revenge for this atrocity that happened without their empress. Basically, there was a situation which happened where after the empress was killed, this one general took in his army to a nearby border town and just kind of massacred it as a revenge killing more than anything else. So both sides have committed wrongs in this, sort of. You could say that the humans are blameless, quite honestly, because they didn't do the assassination. But they have also been very aggressively expanding their territory into High Elves territory, more with legal wrangling than anything else. So there's fault on both sides at this point. So everyone's got a lot to gain and a lot to lose. Anyone can run this game, okay? As long as you are able to control your party, anyone can run this game. It is very simple to do. All you need is 3 pieces of paper to run the game. On each piece of paper, you write down the goals that your government wants. You write down the things they're willing to give, and the things they are not willing to give. The idea, though, is that the way you make it work, so that they won't just quickly jump to, like, oh, we'll do this, and then that's the end of it. You declare at the beginning of the game, the winner is whoever gets the most for their government. So the idea is, it plays a bit like poker. The idea that there's people lying, there's people covering up what they have, like trying to make people think they have more than they do, or, more leverage than they really have, that sort of thing. So it's a very fun kind of game, as long as you have the right players, like I said, players who take it seriously. It's a very fun little thing you can throw together. You just need people who can, roleplay. And again, it can be adapted for literally any universe. You could even do it as the opener to World War I would be good. In fact, there's some really, really fantastic stories about the beginning of World War I, which is where I pulled this idea from in the first place. This idea that there were so many people who wanted to stop it happening, and there was just so many unlucky events that stopped that from happening, that, made the war happen. Just a series of unfortunate events. Again, like I said, you can do this in any universe. You can do it in today's world, quite honestly. It's just a fun game. And again, if you're doing it in your own universe, you can end it where they succeed and they make peace. I didn't do that. Because of the kind of overarching thing I was doing, there was like I said, shadowy organization, who was trying to make sure this war happened. So near the end of it, they heard this big commotion outside. There was this quite elaborate kind of running, trying to get out of the place, as the castle was under siege. And then eventually this group managed to get in there and murder everyone, basically. And then make it look like the other side did it. So the war was inevitable. They were always going to fail. They were always going to die. They succeeded in creating a very good peace treaty. And they wrote it down as well. It was great. They got so into it. They wrote down the peace treaty. They all signed it. Everyone was happy. It was fucking awesome. And I felt really bad about screwing them over so badly with this. But I had to end it with them all dying because I needed the war to happen for my overarching game. So that was a bit like... Meh. But yeah, it was really good fun. They really enjoyed themselves, and it really didn't take much planning. It was just something I came up with on the spot, honestly, because I needed something to do, because I had a day where 2 of my players hadn't shown up, so we couldn't continue on with the main story. But yeah, it worked really well, and everyone had a lot of fun, and it's probably the best one-off I've ever run. And again, no dice. Anyone can do this, as long as you have the players who can really get into roleplay, Nerds, basically. If you have nerds, you're good. Because nerds are fucking awesome. So like I said, if you ever get a chance, try it out for yourself. You'll be surprised at how many, how much your players get into it. You'll be very surprised. Until next time, I don't have a catchphrase. Trying to make one, but I'm not sure if I should. It's that thing of it's not really that my thing. It kind of falls really flat when I try. So I'd probably leave that. So till next time, bye-bye.